This video contains multiple instances of pretty intense screen flashing, so if you're somebody who's affected by that, be wary. Some of the game's effects do that. I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 182. Vigilante 8 Second Offense. Released in 2000, this game was developed by Luxoflux and published by Activision. We played the original Vigilante 8 all the way back as game 22, so it's been a while. In fact, some of you watching brought up how I didn't do enough to beat that game initially, so I had to make a second video on it. The only time that's ever happened. We've definitely beaten every other game since then. Yep. Anyway, that one was decent. It kind of felt like the Twisted Metal we have at home to me. But like, Twisted Metal is fun, so it was fun too. You never know with these sequels. Is it going to expand upon the base game? Will they change it up completely? Will it be better or worse? I don't know. I guess you gotta stick around to find out. Let's get into it. This game has some story before starting, and this time it's actually in the game instead of the manual. Although you do have to go to the options menu to find it. We follow the events of the first game. The Vigilantes defeated the Coyote Gang in winter of 1975. The Coyote leader Sid Byrne disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and the remaining gangsters disbanded. A guy named Slick Clyde made attempts to reorganize the Coyotes, but to no avail. Omar, the oil conglomerate funding the Coyotes, was forced to retreat, and the United States was finally on its way to recovery. Nevertheless, Slick Clyde joined Omar, being used to strong-arm other oil markets all around the world. Now in 2015, the now 70-year-old Clyde became the new CEO of Omar, and they achieved their goal of being the globe's sole oil provider. Well, in all territories except for the United States. Clyde's health had begun to fail, and the idea of him dying before seeing America fall became unbearable. The UN worked with the US to investigate Omar's sketchy acquisition methods. Clyde learned there was a successful time travel experiment at Stanford, so he dispatched Obake to steal the device from the university. Clyde planned to travel back to the 70s and destroy America in its weakest moment. That way, Omar would control the entire world. He brought Obake and Dallas 13, a new cybernetic assassin, along with him. They arrive in Winslow, Arizona on September 17th, 1977. Jeez, that was a lot. The main single-player mode in this game is the quest, so that's what we'll be doing to beat this game. I had to choose my character. There's Sheila, John Torque, the Flying All-Star Trio, Dallas 13, Nina Loco, Molo, who is twerking for some reason, Astronaut Bob O, Garbage Man, and Agent R. Chase. I went with Molo because how could you not after seeing that image? He can get it. His first mission is in the Meteor Crater in Arizona. It gives a bit of story for each mission. Molo quickly swears allegiance to his new boss Slick Clyde. He's really impressed by all his futuristic gadgets. Plus, now he's got a new bus, the Burro Bus. So we get into the gameplay. You're just driving around looking for dudes to blow up. In this mission, there's only one. This annoying RV. Also, it was hovering for some reason. You always have the objective to destroy all the enemies, but there's usually other objectives to do alongside that. In this mission, I had to destroy the gas station and collect all the bombs. It's common to have to scout around the map and find some collectible. I guess they want you to have to explore their hard work. When you go to attack other enemies, you've got a basic machine gun with infinite ammo, and there are other stronger weapons you can find scattered around the map. Ramming them also deals some damage, and Molo is one of the tankiest vehicles. The RV uses these little UFOs as its special attack, and they're so annoying. They just home in on you and are a general nuisance. So after destroying him, I beat the first mission with all objectives completed. Nice. The next mission is in Utah. Clyde wants Molo to rob some local businesses, so he heads to Utah. Apparently there's lots of money there. The Vigilantes Sheila and Torque are guarding it though. One thing I remember from the comments of the first video that I didn't know about in this game is that it has something called a whammy. If you hit an enemy with two different big weapons at the same time, it's called a whammy and does a bunch of bonus damage. It can be pretty hard to set up, but it's worth it to get good at them. A big problem with using Molo is he's just so dang slow. It's near impossible to drive up this roof to reach the briefcases. Having so much HP is nice, admittedly. I didn't even realize this was the lodge I had to destroy, but I kind of passively took it out. I'll take it. So one thing new in this game compared to the first is they had tire modifiers, I guess you could call them. I'll touch on these more later for sure, but in this level in particular you can get like snow tires that make driving in this level really nice. Felt like I went from ice physics to none. No idea what the heck is going on with this jank ski ramp thing. Not only did it just kind of vacuum me into the ramp, but I was absolutely out of control on the way down. I'm sure it looks nicer with a smaller car. You may be wondering what Molo's special attack is. Well, he farts and the gas comes out the back of the bus, dealing a bit of passive damage. Yep, that's really it. So far, the game was still pretty easy, although it was unbearable driving on this level without the skis or whatever. Next up is the Pacific Harbor in California. Clyde orders Molo to pick up some contraband being brought in from South America. Houston is here guarding it in her new truck. Guess I'll have to take care of her. So remember how I said I'd touch more on those tire modifiers? Yeah, here it is. In this level, you get a pickup that makes your vehicle float on water. That's great and all. Problem is, if you end up on land, you just can't move at all. Not only that, you just kind of bounce around, then they go away. This is a huge problem for these sections that are basically islands. You're just kind of screwed in this case. It does not feel good to drive with at all. I certainly didn't pick a good driver to start with to get a good first impression of this game either. Molo's bus just cannot go up the slopes. How do they expect me to get in here to obtain the briefcase? Yeah, I have no idea what the heck this was. Houston Special tows your bus, but am I really supposed to get launched into orbit after it wears off? Not to mention, if you get shot while you're over the water, you lose the flotation and just sink. You may be able to tell, but I just did not care for this flotation mechanic at all. It seems they wanted to incorporate water into the maps badly, and I think the gameplay drastically suffered because of it. This map doesn't feel good to play on at all. Like this part here. It's just a dead end with 3 entrances to the water. It'd sure be nice if there was a flotation pickup to let me transfer to the water, but nope. My choices are either just drive in and get lifted out somewhere else, or slowly turn around in misery. Yeah, I got wrecked here. This is gonna be a rough one. I can already feel it. If you die, you just start back on the mission you were on. The way to avoid dying is by picking up the wrenches to repair your vehicle. I wonder where I can go after getting these. Guess I'll just drive in the water, cause where else the heck am I supposed to go? Man, when that tow truck special hits, it makes me think of that swing set glitch in Grand Theft Auto 4. Surely at least one person watching knows what I'm talking about, right? Oh cool, there's a secret at the lighthouse. I wonder where it's going to take me. Oh, nice, directly into the water. That was really useful. I realized I had to go into certain entries of this building to reach these packages that were airborne. Now I could finally finish this one off. Oh, let's see where the middle entry takes us. Well, definitely didn't expect that. The one good thing about Molo is if you can get the AI to drive into you, his special will just completely nuke them. They tend to do that, you know? Don't mind me, just wanted to throw in one final clip of this game working properly. At least the tow truck came to save me. You know, sort of. I can't believe this is a real game. After what felt like my entire life, I finally beat this mission. That was one of the worst level designs I've ever experienced. Houston manages to escape and Slick Clyde is furious. He sends Dallas to deal with her and Molo has to go to Alaska. There appears to be 8 missions in total for Molo. Please let this one not be as bad as the last. Yeah, that was a big ask. Already running into a required item floating over the water. You know what? I'm gonna stop complaining about it. We've gotta work with what we're dealt. Another new thing to the second game is these kind of stat point things when you kill someone. I assume they upgrade your vehicle over time, but I didn't fully understand it. I mean, at least we've got even more goofy stuff like the bus somehow being transported through this oil pipe. That is just not feasible. Yeah, I died again. That happened a lot in this game. I really am trying to see the bright side of this game, but like, come on. How does this happen? Don't blame emulator jank or something like that in the comments. I'm on an original N64. This is the game behaving as intended. In this level, I not only had to collect the gas cans, but now I had to also deliver them. It doesn't tell you where, so I just kind of guessed. No other spot in the map works. All in all, this one wasn't too bad. Only took 2 tries. The next one is the nuclear plant in Minneapolis. Molo is trying to destroy everything he can to move up the ranks in the Coyotes. He sees some people he doesn't recognize here though. So we've got skis, we've got flotation for water, guess we've also got hovering, cause why not throw in another tire modifier? Yeah, it controls like crap too. Oh look, I somehow managed to find the world's tiniest pool of water to sink into, cause the game knew I hadn't had enough of it already. Alright, calm down. It's only the first character, I'm sure it'll get better. Oh great, another really annoying special that screws with my camera. Now the trash truck is slamming me like I'm in a BattleBots match. I was also getting nuked by the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War every so often. This was the first level with 3 enemies at once and it showed. Molo just sucks so bad, man. Man, screw this guy's special, not to mention it's yet another attack that picks me up. Why does Molo just fart? That describes Molo's gameplay perfectly. A wet fart that should just be ignored. One of the objectives here is to destroy the nuclear reactors. But like, what did I expect to happen when I made a literal nuclear device explode? How am I supposed to do that safely? It's not even the other enemies causing me frustration. Now the random NPCs just as part of the level environment are launching me 20 feet away. It never ends. Alright, only one more piece of jank, I swear. This bomb to collect is floating over the smallest pile of water, and I was considered too big to be teleported away by sinking. I also was too slow to drive out of the area because of the slopes. I was essentially soft-locked in a way. Thankfully, I did get considered in the water and got teleported out. So it turns out blowing up the power plants just deals a huge amount of damage. As long as you can tank it, you're good. I had a new issue though. The AI drove near it and they also blew up. In this game, if you kill all the enemies, the mission ends without letting you complete all the objectives, so I had to just reset. After maybe an hour of grinding, I was finally done with that one. Surely it'll ease up now. Well, now we're at the Ghastly Bayou in Louisiana. Molo sees Clyde running scared. Apparently, Houston kicked Dallas's butt, then used the time travel device to bring Convoy back from the grave. Looks like Molo can finally get some points and slick Clyde's book. Well, I should have known with the name Bayou, but this level had a lot of my favorite mechanic of the game, water. At least they changed it up and put a freaking alligator in the water to get cheap shots off on you. Not only is the idea of water frustrating, but it controls terribly too. It just feels like worse ice physics, I guess. There were these briefcases I had to collect in this mission, but the problem was they were floating in the air. The bus definitely isn't tall enough to reach it, so how the heck am I supposed to get it? Have someone blast me into it? Oh yeah, there's also the fact that 3 maniacs are chasing me the entire time, and they do way too much damage despite me being the tankiest character in the game. I don't even know what this is, a trap to get the gator or something? Do you want to collect this repair item? Well, you've got to shoot this wheel to very slowly raise the platform. The definition of fun. I swear I'm having fun. I'm absolutely loving this game. There is nothing wrong here whatsoever. Okay, actually I didn't realize to flip back over in the water, you don't alternate wiggling the 2 directions. You just spam the same one over and over. At least I figured out how to fix that issue. Remember, if you have the water power up and don't want to be in the water anymore, well, too bad. You have to sit through Pimp My Ride Simulator before you're allowed to drive again. Okay, so remember those elevated briefcases? The way you reach them is by those super slow raising platforms. They are actually gates preventing the swamp from overflowing. I think it's a neat idea for like an Easter egg or something like that, but it's a bit much to set up for a required objective. A new problem arose though, or rather it sunk. The water only stays raised for like 15 seconds before it sinks again. So you've got to raise the water, immediately find a water power up, then get to the briefcases before it sinks again. Oh, and watch out for the stupid tow truck to ruin everything. I also love how the water raises above most of the water power up, so you can't even get them if you want. It was at this point that I had enough. I really tried to complete these objectives, but I just couldn't. The level design and fixation on forcing the player to drive on water drove me nuts. You don't actually have to complete them all, only destroying the other vehicles is the requirement to clear a mission. Well, with that mess out of the way, now we're on to the launch site in Florida. With Convoy taken care of, Slick Clyde is still freaking out. Now he needs Molo to grab him some high-octane fuel. Wonder what that could be for. Well, we're off to a great start. Someone special is a tornado that makes me fling all over the place. I don't know what the heck this was. The entire screen just turned blue and I flung in the air. Maybe it's an electric fence? That's the best I got. Gotta watch out for these rocket blasters along the edge of the island too. They launch you straight in the water. Oh yeah, there's tons of water here, because of course there is. And then sometimes the hangars just develop a vortex and suck you straight through. Directly into the water, of course. I didn't really care for this level. All the items are in the water or on the islands, and there's seemingly only one water pickup reachable from the starting area. Regardless, I ended up killing everyone after a while. Only one more to go. Now we're on to the steel mill in Pennsylvania. It seems Clyde has fled, and Molo is getting seriously hampered by the Vigilantes and the FBI. Not to mention some stunt bozos keep blasting him with fireworks. It's time to flee. This level basically has a large building in the center, and there's a train that moves along the tracks every so often. Best part? No water in sight. Oh my god, I was so happy. I was able to quickly kill everyone without any trouble because, you know, I could actually drive decently for once. When I killed them, it told me the Flying All-Star Trio was approaching. They did this in the first game too for the last mission. The character's rival or whatever shows up at the end. I found this magnet thing that transports me over the water. Wait a second, water? Yeah, there is a small pool of it in this one. It's not a big deal though, and you can even drive over most of it since it's so shallow. These guys' special isn't too bad. Every now and then they just yell, "Dynamite!" and then you get blasted with fireworks. Since I'm so tanky, it doesn't do all that much damage. I died anyway. It wasn't too bad though. This level was mostly chill compared to some of the others. This bridge is working perfectly as intended here. Nothing weird going on. Got through it on the second try. Finally, done with this campaign. There's some screenshots showing the epilogue of the story. We see FBI agent Chassey chasing Molo. He wants Chassey to smell his gas, but uh-oh, his pipe is plugged. His bus couldn't handle the pressure. Oh snap, it actually ends up being Sheila who arrests Molo. Rip, dude. One thing brought up to me is there's a cheat to unlock an even higher resolution for the game. Admittedly, it looks really nice, but it's quite laggy. I can see why they didn't include it by default. Even when no other vehicles are around, it's still lagging a bit. So you can access the game's credits at any point within the options menu. Now, this is where things went wrong. I was so unbelievably frustrated with this game that I just said I was calling it here. Beating one single story was good enough for me. I even said screw it and did a marble race to roll the next game after beating Molo's story. But while I was playing that next game, I remembered, you know, I'm so frustrated now, but the YouTube video down the line will be up forever. People are going to want to hear about this game they really enjoyed, yada yada, so after finishing that next game, I ultimately came back to this one to finish the rest of the characters. So first up, we've got Bob O and the Moon Trekker. It seems Bob began a rampage out of nowhere. People called him an animal and a freak, but Bob admitted there's a good reason for that. So I know for Molo's campaign I went quite in depth. For the rest of these people I'll go a bit faster. For instance, this is the same stage Molo had. All the stages are the same, everybody plays the same 8 levels. I also stopped going for the objectives and just focused on killing the enemies instead. Molo's campaign could very well be the hardest of them all, but I was simply burnt out from them and the game's obsession with forcing water into the gameplay. Anyway, I'll take this time to talk about the graphics and audio. The graphics are pretty solid. Even on low res mode it looks nice. The high res lags a bit when enemies appear on screen, but I think I prefer it. The music is one of the game's strongest points. The soundtrack's super varied and just lots of good stuff. I personally like Okay to Be Loco the best. After that mission, we are wondering why Bob is in this state of mind. Well, apparently his life stream was shattered, but instead of giving up or starting over, he just decided to go berserk. Bob underwent several grueling training exercises and experiments to train for space. We even see an image of them holding bananas for him. Apparently, this motivated him to train greatly. Just days before Bob's scheduled launch, some gangsters rolled up to NASA HQ and destroyed everything, including Prometheus. Without his rocket, Bob had no way to launch into space. But there was no way he would go back to that crazy training facility. Bob was distressed, to say the least. He bit the ear off one of the instructors and made a break for it. On the way out, he stole an experimental moon trekker, and now he's a wanted felon. It's strange why he's doing all this. Bob makes his way to Louisiana where a garbage man tries to steal the solar panels from his rover. He even has a batch of bananas to distract him with. Bob isn't having any of it though, so he takes him out. The trash man follows Bob all the way to Pennsylvania. This intrigues him as Bob senses something otherworldly about him. He wants to look more into this trash man. Bob has it figured out. The trash man is actually an alien in disguise. That means he's got to have a spaceship stashed somewhere. Forget NASA. Bob's gonna link up with this guy. Also, here's something I missed with Molo in the Florida map. You can apparently launch into orbit and then parachute down. It's so janky and glitchy looking, but I guess it's there? This game is nuts, man. Yet another thing that annoys me about the water is I'm destroying this garbage truck and he's able to run away to grab the lone water power up to escape. Like there's just nothing I can do about that. I just have to let him run off until he heals up and decides to come back and fight. It took like 10 tries to beat the last mission, but I got it. The garbage man tried to outwit Bob, but he got wrecked. Bob takes a closer look at the alien and he's still alive. It was a surprise attack and he throws Bob to the ground. Bob finds his helmet shattered and his identity revealed. The alien drives away with all of his solar panels. Well, next up is the trash man and the dual grub loader. The garbage man isn't used to the ways of the locals. There's so much violence that it has made him violent as well. He traveled here to search for a friend, but now he's been forced to stay. Hopefully not for long. The garbage man has been around a while, but he still doesn't understand these people. He's tried to help them, but they just turn on him. He realizes he's different than them, but like, so what? He then runs into a woman named Houston, who offers him a bunch of totaled cars in exchange for some help. He agrees to escort her to the north, but suddenly, there's a surprise attack. The Alaskan refinery was full of all kinds of goodies the garbage man needed. He should have gone there sooner, but now he's under attack in Minnesota. The garbage man learns of a ruckus happening in Utah. He knows to head there because these battles usually lead to lots of useful parts to scavenge. The mechanic at the ski resort offers him some batteries if he can help keep the lifts running. The garbage man is annoyed at this spaceman following him around, but then he notices some solar panels on his vehicle. He's had success trading with all the other locals, so he asks the spaceman. Bad idea. The spaceman turned out to be just another freak. The garbage man knows he could forcefully take them, but he really wants to work out a deal. Something about this spaceman makes him kinda like him. The garbage man decides to lure the spaceman into a trap. He stocks up on bananas and makes his way to NASA HQ. The garbage man knows this spaceman is wanted by federal agents, so he hopes they'll apprehend him. He thought wrong. We learned the garbage man is actually an alien codenamed Y. He makes his way deep into the Navajo Canyon. This is where he hid his broken flying saucer while he gathered the parts to repair it. The solar panels were the last component he needed. He wasn't able to shake Bobo, so he had to take him along. Oh well, it's a long trip, and who likes traveling alone anyway? Well, that's 3 characters down, a lot more to go. Now time for Agent R. Chase. He's just so excited. The idea of time travel was just a fantasy, but now he's going all the way back to the 70s. He's so happy, but he can't forget his objective: to apprehend Lord Clyde of Omar. He's absolutely loving it here. The music, the fashion, the women, and of course, the food. The 100% beef burgers are amazing. His heart rate skyrockets when he learns FBI superstar Chassey Blue is here investigating. If he can meet her, that'll fulfill one of his childhood dreams. All the local gangs are going nuts, and Chase's superiors aren't happy about it. They order him to go to Alaska to prevent them from destroying the oil pipeline there. Unexpectedly, Chase runs into Agent Chassey Blue there. She's even more beautiful in person than his posters. She doesn't seem to share the same affection though. However, she does need his help. She wants him to come to Minnesota to protect the nuclear plant there. Surely Chase can impress her with his secret agent charm and skill. It seems she's grown to tolerate him. They've tracked Clyde's sidekicks to a ski resort in Utah. Time for Chase to show his skills. Chase is getting hounded up by the higher-ups once again. They say they don't have time for his matters of the heart. How could they doubt him? He will capture Slick Clyde. Chase is getting conflicted. On the one hand, he has a duty to complete his mission and return to the boring future. On the other hand, he could just stay here and marry Chassey. Wait, he's getting way ahead of himself. I've gone into full summary mode here, but don't forget, this game is jank as heck. If you do want to watch full playthroughs of these games, I have them all archived on my alt channel, Thabeast Plays, which is linked in the description of each one of these videos. Well, now Chase is devastated. He proposed to Chassey Blue and she said no. His life is in shambles now. His higher-ups gave him an ultimatum. Capture Clyde this time or his career is over. I killed all the people here, but I also died. Thankfully, the game is programmed to let you win in this edge case. Convoy allowed Chase to take Clyde back to the future to face justice. Clyde pulls out a cane which electrocutes him. Oh snap. But then out of nowhere, Obake shows up and knocks Clyde out. Unfortunately, she has her own plans for him and Chase is left out. Obake leaves with Clyde, leaving Chase with nothing. Bummer. We've got to power through. It's time for Sheila. None of these levels are ever different, by the way. They all use the same 8 areas. Sheila was a student at UC Berkeley, but she never really studied. For better or worse, she underwent a transformation. Her old buddy Torque has summoned her to Arizona where she notices something off about Houston and her uncle Convoy. She never even made it to Convoy Station because she got attacked by some lunatic at the meteor crater. Torque then met up with her near Flagstaff. She couldn't believe the news that her Uncle Convoy was dead, though. Houston must have survived the attack, so she tries to find her. It turns out Houston is alive, and she even has a plan to bring Convoy back to life. We also learn Slick Clyde has turned evil, which is no surprise. Sheila winds up in Pennsylvania where she spots a beautiful woman. She can't believe it. It's the FBI agent Chassey Blue. She doesn't even bust Sheila for being a vigilante. How awesome. There's all kinds of well-known coyotes on the loose, including Molo. It seems Nina is supplying weapons to Clyde. All the FBI agents are focused on the big cities, so the Midwest is a free-for-all. Chassey informs us Clyde sent his goons to rob the ski resort in Utah. Since she's chasing Clyde, she suggests Sheila head there and protect it. It seems she gets there too late though. One thing I didn't notice in this level until playing with her is there's randomly a hill to ski down with tons of items on it. I suppose that's pretty cool. I'll admit when the game does something I enjoy. Since helping Chassey, Sheila is loving feeling like a real FBI agent. She started calling herself Convoy's Angel in memory of her uncle. Torque thinks she's nuts, but Houston likes it. Chassey promises Sheila a scholarship at the FBI Academy if she can prove her worth. Sheila thinks busting the notorious conman Boogie at the Alaskan pipeline is the perfect way to achieve that. Sheila ends up enrolling at the FBI Academy and graduates in record time. She's then given her first assignment. Molo is one of the FBI's most wanted, so she goes to arrest him. 5 characters down, 13 more to go? Now it's time for John Torque and the Thunderbolt. Torque doesn't know why people are making fun of him. Being a bounty hunter is a legit job. Besides, he knows there's some serious money to be made if he can capture felon Nina Loco. Torque was tracking Nina to Arizona, but he ran into Boogie. It seems Nina busted him out of jail. He discovers Convoy's place is burning and abandoned. He calls Sheila to tell her the news, then goes on the chase. Not only Boogie, but now he's run into Molo. This is his worst nightmare. He really hopes the coyotes haven't caused Convoy or Houston any harm. He hears reports of attacks on civilians in Florida, so he heads there. Finally, though, Torque runs into Houston in Pennsylvania. She's doing well, but she informs him that Convoy is dead. He can't believe it. He also is having a hard time grasping the fact that Slick Clyde is traveling through time, too. Houston tells Torque to chase some suspects to Minnesota. He's not sure if they're with the coyotes or what, but they're definitely up to no good. He catches up with them, but the place is booby-trapped with explosives. The vigilantes are doing good work out here. Houston is determined to get her hands on one of Clyde's time travel devices. Meanwhile, Torque is heading to Utah. Nina and the gang have robbed a local ski resort. Houston managed to get a time travel device, and she brought Convoy back to life. Now the coyotes are toast. Time for Torque to finally capture Nina, but he falls into her trap at the harbor. Torque can't believe Nina keeps getting away. Is she truly bad, or is she just trying to survive in a world gone mad? She seems in trouble, but she keeps causing more of it. Is the third time a charm? No one outsmarts John Torque more than twice. Not even Nina. Torque realizes he's taken Nina's stash of cash and he's set for life. He wonders if he should truly put her behind bars. She proposes him an offer which seems too good to refuse. After all, John Torque has always been a risk taker. Can't stop there. Now we've got the flying all-star trio in the Dakota stunt cycle. Tommy, Rami, and Leela are siblings who do not always agree, but they all love their missing sister Tanya in their stunt cycles. Tommy spotted a picture of Tanya in a paper one morning and the three of them hit the road immediately. The local Louisiana people recognize Tanya's picture. They keep calling her Houston, though. In the past 2 days, the siblings have gotten more leads than an entire year of milk carton pictures. They decide to follow this boogie guy because he looks like a gangsta. The trio runs into a wannabe FBI agent in Florida named Sheila. She knows Houston personally. The gangsta's killed Houston's man, but she may still be alive. They officially join the Vigilantes to find their sister. They run into a guy named Torque in Pennsylvania who is also looking for Houston. Torque is wary of their missing sister story. Nevertheless, he agrees to help spread the word. Apparently, they're calling themselves Team Fast now. They get a lead from juvenile prison bus driver to go to Minnesota. They spot some orange towing gear, the same type Houston is supposed to be driving. The bus driver's tip was a trap. They plan to get revenge on the fatso in the bus, but for now, they're on the trail of the Coyote's leader. He's headed to Utah. The Coyote leader managed to escape, but they decide to meet up with Sheila in California. There, they discover a lone FBI car overwhelmed by coyotes. The kids can't believe it. The driver of the FBI car is none other than Sheila. She got a new job at the agency. She managed to track down Houston using her connections, and the reunion is scheduled at the FBI campus in 1 week. Well, the siblings were late for the meeting due to dealing with Molo. A few hours later, they arrived at campus and are reunited with Tanya. She rediscovers her long-lost family. It makes headlines nationwide, and the demand for their stunt shows reaches new heights. 7 down, a lot more to go. Now it's Dallas 13 and the Palomino 13. Dallas is crossing the fabric of space-time following his master Lord Clyde, and Clyde's bodyguard Obake. He's loaded up the Omar assassin BIOS to take down the Vigilantes. Dallas's first mission was less than ideal. There are some glitches in his system. He thinks his name is Dallas? Well, he's got a new mission in Utah. Clyde learns Houston may be alive and organizing with the other Vigilantes. She still has those Omar implants inside her, and she could go off at any moment. Clyde can't allow that. He orders Dallas to terminate Houston. Not only did Dallas fail the mission, he didn't even attempt to find Houston. Clyde is absolutely fuming. He has no idea what's wrong with the robot. Dallas now says his name is definitely Darius. He was adopted by Omar in 2003. He's really struggling right now. It seems Clyde managed to hack into Dallas's computer and disable all links to his bionic memory. No way for an emotional response now. Clyde plans to torture the engineers who designed him upon returning. Dallas just continues to impress Clyde now. He locked onto Houston's implants and was able to locate her in Louisiana. Dallas starts to attack when Houston talks to him. He has a brief lapse in judgment, saying his name is Darius, then Houston runs for it. Clyde can't believe Dallas failed again. He decides to hack into Dallas's BIOS and max out the clock speeds on everything. It's risky, but it'll turn him into the ultimate killing machine. Dallas's circuits may be overheating, but his performance is exemplary. He's been pursuing Houston for days and finally has her cornered at an old steel mill in Pennsylvania. Time to end this. Dallas has Houston injured. Finally, he can terminate her. Out of nowhere, Houston kicks him in the chest, creating a hole. Dallas is toast. Well, this is the last of what I'll call the base characters. The others are unlocked by beating these 9 campaigns. Time for Nina Loco. Nina grew up poor. Not many people south of the border were well off. Her poverty gave her a drive to make it big. She met a man named Clyde who made her think this was her big break. Wow, she gets all of Sid's weapons plus a year of work with Clyde for $1 million? She has no idea this job involves a bit more than a few weapon deliveries. It starts out innocently enough, just a few small robberies and a bit of vandalism. All this warfare is rough for Nina. She may be loco, but she's definitely not crazy. Selling weapons is one thing, but using them is another entirely. She sees so many briefcases full of cash. Surely Clyde won't notice if one goes missing, right? Nina has been alone for most of her life, but she finally makes a friend in Clyde's assistant Obake. She's confused why she has blind loyalty to him though. Doesn't she see he's bad to the bone? Nina starts to regret ever getting involved with Clyde. All this terrorist crap is a bit much, even for a loco girl. She doesn't think she can last another 8 months to make that $1 million. All these weapons must be worth something, right? She just keeps getting into trouble. Now the Mexican weapons mob boss Don Fuego is after her for taking over his market. If that wasn't enough, some bounty hunter named Torque has been following her for days. Soon as she gets paid, she's gone. Nina gets caught by Don Fuego's goons. She was almost free, now she's gonna die. She gets an idea though. Surely Don Fuego is interested in Clyde's futuristic weapons, right? He's intrigued. She's now got 2 days to steal Clyde's guns. Clyde's been busy lately, so stealing his weapons was easy. Nina has no hope of Don Fuego letting her free though. She may have to take the gamble and run for it. If she can just get Torque away for 1 day. Step 1 of the plan, deliver Clyde's guns, along with a remote bomb to Don Fuego. Step 2, collect the cash prize from him. Step 3, blow up Don with the remote. Step 4, run for the border. Uh-oh. Nina was caught by John Torque. Well, that finishes up the initial 9 characters. The rest of these are unlocked by beating those 9. Now we've got Houston in the Samson tow truck. Houston has no idea how she survived the attack from the events of the first game. Lately, she doesn't remember a lot of things. She's filled with grief because her man Convoy is dead. She must find out why this happened. Houston finds some coyote plans, but she was sure they were wiped out 2 years ago. Plus, she's never seen vehicles this fancy in her area. Now she realizes it. The old man, the robot, the ninja girl, Omar is back. On the way to Florida, Houston runs into an FBI agent, a fancy pants guy named Chase. He tries to convince her that Omar and him traveled there from the future. She thinks it's BS until she has another feeling click. It must be Slick Clyde. Houston has been kidnapped, her memories wiped, her mind messed with, and even her man killed. But they picked the wrong girl to do all that to. She promises Chase to help track the Omar gang down. All these visions and flashbacks are driving Houston crazy. She knows what's causing them though. Omar robo-killer Dallas 13. She thought that armband was her only Omar implant, but nope, there must be more to it. Just when she needs him, one of Houston's friends, John Torque, shows up. He tells Houston about a stunt crew traveling the country to find her. He believes these kids might be her siblings. Houston wants to get this Omar stuff settled so she can find out the truth. Finally, Houston runs into Dallas 13 in California. She tries to talk to him. After all, he was just like her once. There must still be a human inside that suit of heavy armor. Dallas tries to break her arm, so she retreats and rethinks her strategy. Stupid Dallas just won't give up. Sooner or later, Houston is going to have to take him out. She wishes Convoy could be here to help. Oh, maybe just bring him back from the dead with the time travel device. Having defeated Dallas 13, Houston steals the time travel device from his car. She goes back in time to that fateful day, September 17th, 1977. This time, she knows exactly what to do. Before the coyotes can attack, she turns the truck around. Now with a fair shot, Convoy is saved. Fittingly, the next story in the line is for Convoy, so here we go. Convoy wasn't really ready to be here, but considering he was supposed to be shoved off the cliff here anyway, he's ready. Thanks to Houston, he's alive and well. Also younger by a few minutes. Time travel, more like a miracle. Either way, there's work to be done. Convoy's truck is a bit unique in that it's a semi with a trailer, and after so much damage, the trailer breaks, making you a lot faster. Houston, Sheila, and John Torque have cleaned up most of the mess, but Clyde is still on the loose. Sucks that an old friend turned on him. Convoy hears Clyde is running low on cash, so he decides to abuse that. This time around, there aren't only coyotes causing trouble, but also many drifters. He doesn't understand why the media always glamorize these gangs. Now these gullible fellas have hit the road themselves. He tries to reason with them, but he's left with no choice. Convoy is so happy. Houston discovered her long-lost family along with her true identity. Her real name is Tanya. He escorts her to Washington for the reunion, then heads to Pennsylvania to track down Molo and Boogie. Molo and Boogie are true die-hard coyotes. Convoy almost respects them. He keeps squashing them and they just keep coming back. Now he's off to Minnesota where more trouble is. Clyde seriously underestimated what he was going up against. With all the historical data, he should have had a huge advantage. Now he's completely out of cash and getting desperate. Clyde's losing control of the situation fast. Molo and Nina have plans of their own, and even Obake may turn on him soon enough. Convoy has no problem staying hot on his tail to keep up the pressure. Alright, it's time to wrap this up. Convoy wants some vacation time with Houston. Tanya, that is. Most of the vigilantes have called it quits, leaving it up to Convoy to finish Clyde off. He chases him all the way to Alaska. Nowhere else to run now. So Convoy receives a postcard from Torque, and he and Houston drive down to Mexico. They're surprised to find Nina there too. Sounds like JT is in love. So it turns out I was wrong. There are indeed 18 characters in this game. game, but 3 of them do not have quests to do. They are only there for the arcade mode or multiplayer, so that's where the Vigilante story ends. Next up is the Coyote story with Lord Clyde in the Excelsior Stretch. It's weird how Clyde's life work was determined by a single piece of Omar's circuitry. Nonetheless, Clyde isn't in it for the money. He wants the power, the action, the dirty dealings, and above all, to make history. Everything was going great until the CIA started getting into Clyde's business. Now the UN Council is on it too, jeopardizing his entire empire. The CIA thinks they can put him on trial for crimes against humanity? No chance. By the time he's done, all those troubles will be history. Why must Clyde hunt for cash in the 70s when he's the richest person in the future? Well, he thought his weapons would be enough. Also, the time portal doesn't allow for a lot of extra cargo. Along with that, the hired goons are using all his money too. This mission was supposed to be a no-brainer, but so far it's going terribly. To top it off, the CIA sent one of their smelliest rats to follow Clyde to the 70s, Chase. Clyde better make sure he doesn't make it back to the present. In the meantime, why not blow up the US's largest oil refinery? That explosion should keep Chase busy for a while. Clyde's troubles have only just begun though. Houston reportedly survived the attack and Dallas is malfunctioning. On top of that, Obake has even started to question Clyde's motives. Destroying America's finest nuclear plant should lift his spirits. If you want the job done right, gotta do it yourself, right? Wait, Houston defeated Dallas? That's impossible. Clyde needs some more manpower, which means he needs more cash. Obake has stashed some loot in Louisiana. This is becoming Clyde's worst nightmare. Houston used Clyde's time travel device to bring Convoy back. Maybe he underestimated the vigilantes. Wait, Convoy is alive? Why are Clyde's pants wet? Clyde's doing his best, but the operation is in complete shambles. Returning to the future without accomplishing his goal is basically suicide. What can he do? Stay in the 70s, get some extra cash, and find a place to hide and plot his return. Provided Chase or Convoy don't get him first. At least Obake is still around. Clyde wakes up in the passenger seat of his limo. Obake is behind the wheel. Wait a second. Why are they back in 2015, flying straight to Omar's HQ? And why is he handcuffed? This looks like betrayal. Obake arms the limo's weapons, sets the autopilot, then bails. Boom! Clyde and his Omar empire are history. To complete the Coyote storyline, we've got Obake with the tsunami. Obake meditates. She is sad by the disappearance of her best friend and partner, Darius. She knows she must be strong, though. Soon, she departs for Lord Clyde's most important mission yet. Obake has seen her share of covert ops. Recon, espionage, sabotage, even elimination, but nothing like this. She knows this is a dirty business, yet for the first time, she has her doubts. No matter, Lord Clyde must have a good reason for all this destruction. At first, Obake didn't pay much attention to her new partner, Dallas. She never really respected the Omar Biobots. On the 3rd day of the mission, she notices some unusual mannerisms. The robot reminds her of someone. Darius? It must be a coincidence. Obake is conflicted. Her devotion to Lord Clyde is being put to the test. She was never allowed to learn the inner workings of Omar, but she never doubted him. A new coyote named Nina seems very judgmental of him, though. These suspicions are driving Obake crazy and affecting her performance. She's been trained for this, though. She must not fail. Clyde and Obake is unable to conquer these feelings. Her questions about Dallas must be answered. She looks into his circuits to see his memories. It's true. Dallas has Darius's brain. Lord Clyde did this to him for screwing up the Stanford mission. It's going to take some time for this all to truly sink in. Obake continues to look into Darius's memories. Clearly, he knew many details of Clyde's actions, but he never told her to protect her. She learns Clyde killed her father to destroy the competing Uzumi power, then doctored his letter. Obake must develop a plan for revenge. Obake is determined to rid the world of Clyde and his evil empire. There are clearly better sources of energy than oil. After this last mission, she will complete the deed herself. Obake swiftly carries out her revenge. Omar is finished. Her father always believed in green energy. She vows to keep the dream alive. In just a few years, the resurrected Uzumi power becomes a new energy powerhouse. She continues to find new ways to provide affordable energy to the world. And that wraps up the Coyote storyline. Hang in there. We're in the finishing stretch now. Just 2 more drifters to go. Time for Chassey Blue and the Vertigo. Chassey's still a bit salty about how she didn't make it in Hollywood. She was a good actress and deserved better. Thankfully, the FBI is giving her a second chance. She's getting used to being an agent again. It looks like the Coyotes are back. She swears she saw Molo driving that prison bus. How did he get out? The FBI suspects someone very powerful is behind these attacks, so she's sent to California for clues. Chassey is intrigued by these fancy weapons wielded by the gangs, and so are her FBI bosses. Either way, she's upset the FBI ordered her to attack the Vigilantes. Don't they see that they're heroes, not criminals? The Coyote's next target is the nuclear plant in Minnesota. Chassey has to hurry to save it from destruction, and she meets another agent named Chase who offers to help. This dude's clearly infatuated with her, so she may as well take advantage of it. Wouldn't be the first time. Huh, Loverboy really did come in handy. She may just keep Chase around. Besides, he's kinda cute and dresses really well. He just needs to stop blabbering about this time travel nonsense. It's painfully obvious he's with the CIA. Chassey's next mission is in Utah. The FBI really wants to learn the source of these weapons Chassey found. Chase keeps saying it's futuristic Omar technology brought in via time travel by Slick Clyde. Who's gonna believe that garbage? To her surprise, the Bureau wants to know more, so she's ordered to hunt down Clyde. All this traveling's really getting tiresome for Chassey. Now she's gotta rush to Pittsburgh to find this weapons stash. She's getting annoyed with the agency again. Are they interested in protecting people, or do they just want to have these guns for themselves? Chassey has had enough. If the FBI cares more about these weapons than human lives, she's finished. Heck, she'd rather go back to Hollywood over this. A report comes in of the launch site in Florida being attacked, so she's got one last mission in her. It seems Agent Chase failed in both his mission and love conquests. Suddenly, Chassey Blue appears, and has she changed her mind about him? She has indeed. The love is mutual. The two are about to kiss when suddenly Chase's beeper spoils the moment. He's now considered a fugitive. Chase refuses to return to the future, so the two hit the road together. Alright, the final storyline. This guy is kinda random though. It's Padre Destino in the Goliath half-track. Padre Destino is a preacher who can't even remember when he adopted the name. Actually, he doesn't remember much of his existence prior to becoming the Padre. He may have been in the army at once, but his past life doesn't concern him. The coming events do. What are these coming events exactly? No one knows. Padre never claimed to be a psychic. Something called the Book spells one prophecy clearly. The fall of Babylon is near. He'll need plenty of supplies to wait out until this new beginning arrives. Ah yes, the book. It's rumored the preacher received it from an old vagrant and is the source of his psychosis. Nonsense. This book was definitely given to him by the Leviathan himself to spread its message and draw in new believers, voluntarily or by force. Of course, Padre prefers the latter. Padre and his demonic elementals travel the land in search of new followers and spreading the message of the Leviathan. While camping in Minnesota one night, the skies opened and a man named Chase emerged. He commands Padre's assistance. Is this a messenger from the Leviathan? Padre is suspicious of this Chase guy. The errands he asks do not require destruction, which goes against the ways of the Leviathan. Is he here to silence Padre? Possibly, but he won't give up on potential followers that easily. He will continue assisting Chase. Chase turned out to be just another charlatan destined to fry in the depths of Gehenna for all eternity. Padre is puzzled though. The first time he laid eyes on the book, he was an instant believer. Why is it so hard to recruit new followers then? Maybe he just needs to destroy more things. Padre has read the book countless times. During one reading, the following phrase caught his attention. The one who commands a pillar of fire shall command the fall of Babylon. A pillar of fire? There's gotta be plenty of fire at the steel mill in Pennsylvania. Padre definitely heated it up at the mill. He can feel the earth rumble and the winds picking up from the east. The time has come. He will travel to Florida to witness the coming. First though, he's got to get rid of this shaman who's been following him for days. Padre Destino's day has come. He summons the Leviathan to show itself. He calls upon it to strike with all its vengeance. The skies above him open, and for the first time in his life, Padre looks directly into the eyes of evil, and it burns him straight to the bone. Thou shalt not trust in evil ever. Well, that sure was weird. You've got all these characters with like intertwining stories and everything, and then Padre's just vibing, going nuts in the background all on his own. Anyway, that's the storyline for all 15 characters. The other 3 were planned to have stories, but I guess it was cut due to time or budget concerns. Like I said before, the game's credits are just available at any time in the options menu, but yeah, that's about all there is for this one. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it. My journey to beating Vigilante 8 Second Offense. Man, oh man. I was quite disappointed with this one. When you draw a game like Mahjong or Pachinko or whatever, you're like, oh, this is gonna suck, and you're ready for it. With this, I was at least expecting to have a decent game I'd enjoy, if not a great game. I'll start with the positives. It looks nice, and if you don't play on high res mode, it doesn't lag at all. There's quite a bit of variety in the music, and I like it really well. And you can even choose which songs play easily by pausing the game. There's a good variety of weapons, and the story was actually well written in my opinion. Okay, sounds like a great game, right? Well, there's one counter to all of that, and it's water. The dang water! It was a bold idea to introduce these new tire types in the game. I just think it missed the mark both on implementation and how they chose to use it. 6 out of the 8 levels have water in them, with most of it being significant amounts. So many item pickups and objectives require you to go out on the water, and you have to first find the water tire pickup. It also leads to frustrating scenarios where one player gets it and the other does not, so the one on land is just kinda stuck there chilling for a while. I didn't enjoy it, and I think the game suffered a lot because of it. I don't quite know how to fix it. Maybe make it easier to swap tires or something? I don't know. The physics when you're on the water are also horrendous, and I just dreaded it every time I had to do it. I also think the 8 maps were not quite enough to keep the game fresh. I think 10 would be a better amount. And then there's all the glitches and jank I experienced. It's just, man, I don't know. If this were like Superman 64 and I went in expecting it to be bad, I wouldn't be that upset, I feel. One of the biggest disappointments in this challenge for me. Again, these are my personal thoughts on this specific playthrough and not intended to be a general review that applies to everyone's tastes. Maybe the game is a lot better in multiplayer. I gave Vigilante 8 Second Defense a 2 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 5 out of 10 for difficulty. If I followed through with the objectives, it would have been much higher. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. We had a randomized marble race to determine which game was next, so here's how that played out. Or skip to the timestamp on screen to skip straight to the game selection. Alright, we'll do a random track. Eye of the Storm. We got we got 199 left on the list. No introductions because I got pizza waiting. Let's go. Alright. The marbles are off. Winter Olympics 98, that's going to be horrible. They're toying with the idea of going in the hole, and somebody finally does. The next J-League soccer game, Chameleon Twist 2 and GoldenEye, the current top 3. One of these is not like the others. And bottom of the 9th is surging forward, and it's raining hard out here. The conditions for this race, definitely not ideal. As the next Turok game takes the lead, I believe that's Turok 2, is what we would be playing. And the next Clay Fighter game, Super Smash Bros. Polar opposites in the fighting game universe. Clay Fighter, Cruisin' USA as well, and who's coming down? It's actually Super Smash Bros. Surges forward. I didn't see how it happened, but Super Smash Bros. Is in the lead, coming through the hurricane, as is Clay Fighter, and Super Smash Bros. Bouncing around a little bit rough there on that entry. And bottom of the 9th, sticks the landing, and bottom of the 9th blasts forward. There's only one thing left to stop bottom of the 9th from ruining this, but bottom of the 9th is getting held up, and here comes Paper Mario. Paper Mario gets through the gap, and it's Paper Mario in bottom of the 9th, and I think we're going to play a good game, folks. It is Paper Mario. We have drawn a top tier game, and it feels like it's been so long. This is exactly what I need after that last game. Paper Mario, it has been decided. But yeah, if you're still here watching, you're awesome. Thank you so much. If you had a good time, consider hitting that like button, or maybe even dropping a subscription. Or hey, maybe even watch another one of these videos that's on screen now. And yeah, see you next time.